Mansour.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
How you doing?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Nice.
Absolutely.
What's going on?
Not much. Just hanging out, enjoying free agency.
Where do you live?
I live in Orlando, Florida.
Orlando?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, Mansour.
Yes,
Is the
sir.
other guy coming on at the same time, or
He
is
is.
he?
Yes.
Okay.
He'll be here as
So,
soon as possible.
Mansour, I was reading, doing highly extensive research on you, meaning 10 minutes before the show, I looked at Wikipedia. Um, so you were born in Saudi Arabia, right?
Yes,
You went to the United States when you were 11, right?
that is
But
correct.
then when they did a tryout, they discovered you in Saudi Arabia. What were you doing there? You moved back or what?
No, they actually. I was lucky and blessed enough to have been flown out there for the tryout. I believe I was the only person flown out. I was actually the only person at the tryout who had had
So
professional
you were kind
wrestling
of like a
experience.
ringer. They were like, yeah, we think this guy's
A
going to
little
make it.
bit.
So let's put it in Saudi Arabia so it looks like we brought him from Saudi
Yeah.
Arabia and he's
Yeah.
kind of over with the people. Am I right? No,
Yeah.
I'm just
No, they
asking.
kind of did me a favor. So the tryout was actually organized by the Saudi government, not WWE. So all the guys that were
Right.
there trying out was not selected by WWE. So
Oh,
I
okay.
was contacted by the Saudi government saying, "Hey, we saw clips of you online. You're Saudi, right? Like you actually do this? Like get your ass over here, you know?"
Wow.
I mean, I want to go. I want to go
That's
to
pretty
rabbit.
wild.
I want to go to rabbit hole here real quick because it's fascinating. Like you're born and raised in Saudi Arabia till 11 years old, right?
Yes.
Give me your whatever your memories are. You're a kid, okay? And obviously you're athletic, okay? You like sport. What are like for kids in Saudi Arabia growing up? What are the top sports? Well, you guys have like obviously you see stuff from all over the world. What are kids there like? Sports, interests, hobbies. What is like at the typical Saudi Arabian like growing up? Like what did you like?
Every kid in Saudi Arabia plays soccer, or we call it football over there.
Right.
That's the national sport. Much like many countries, it's kind of the only sport
Right.
that matters. But me personally, I was actually never that big of a fan. I was kind of always a black sheep in that sense. I just loved wrestling, but there was no outlet for that. So I actually
How did you
took
watch
up-
how did you
Yeah,
watch
I was-
wrestling?
that's what I was gonna
What
say.
aired over there? Like what I'm saying, like like WWE it airs there. What how's
yeah,
that work?
WWE aired eventually, but when I was really little, the only thing I could do was buy cheap rip-offs of the pay-per-views. You can buy them for like $2 over there. You
Yeah.
can go to the mall
Right.
and it's like a DVD cam rip, and that's how I watched all the pay-per-views.
Right, interesting. Marseille.
Hey, what's going on? Can you hear me?
What's up? Hey, what's up, bro? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah. Good seeing you again. I remember we hooked up. We were when I was in the Booker show that time. That was pretty fun. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, right. So, I
So
gotta go ahead, Konnan.
let me just finish real quick with Mansour what we were talking about. So when what do you think are one of the biggest differences between living in Arabia and the United States that just stands out to you and most Arabians?
Absolutely. I mean, when I lived there, so my mom is actually American.
Right.
So when she moved to Saudi Arabia with my dad, it was a first experience for her as well. And she is a headstrong, stubborn woman. She was in the military. She had her own business. So being told that she couldn't drive, that she couldn't go outside, not wearing complete covering, the abaya and the hijab, was very difficult for her. I always remember a story where I was super sick as a baby, and she couldn't drive to the pharmacy, so she carried me in the rain to the local pharmacy, and it took like something like 20 minutes. And once she got there, she wasn't wearing a head covering, and there was a police officer who told her, "Hey, you need to cover up right now." And she said, "I don't have to do anything you say. I'm an American." And the guy pointed a gun at her. I swear to God. And she said, "You tell me your name right now." She goes home and she calls and gets the guy fired.
Wow.
She was that kind of woman. So obviously that's
Oh, so in Saudi Arabia, they also had like a morality police too,
they
right?
did. They were called the Matawa, and they're a religious police force that actually don't have power anymore. And that's another thing that's crazy. Whenever I go back there, so much has changed. I see guys and girls going on dates, which is crazy to me. Because back in the day, I mean, I knew a guy who was taken in the back of a van and lashed because he was out with a girl who he wasn't related to. When I was a kid, when I was young.
That's the thing that the Saudis are trying to, and it's funny because you see like a lot of the world is just looking back at their history and punishing them for their past sins, right? But they're trying to integrate themselves into Western culture and stuff, everything right now. And I've always looked at that as like, all right, they're trying, like so. Why do we want to like throw a wet blanket over like the fact that the Saudis are trying to like bring Western entertainment into their country? And like you see a lot of people that are just very critical of the fact that they're doing that. And I'm like, all right, but where's the harm in trying to provide, trying to grow your entertainment fingerprint? What do you think about that?
I think it's difficult for a lot of people in the West, in the United States, or any Western country to kind of look at the steps Saudi Arabia is taking and say that it's enough, because it's such a disparity between us and them that every little amount of progress they make is never going to be enough for people who are here, because we have freedom. But for the people in Saudi Arabia, every single tiny little step is a big deal. And I know that because I lived there before all these steps were taken, and I've seen it after all these steps were taken. I think people expecting the totality of the culture to shift immediately are not really understanding just how difficult it is and how traditional and conservative Saudi society is. So just the fact that women can drive and that there's no a punishment for taking a girl out to a restaurant, to me is a huge leap forward. I mean, I even remember I was there for the first women's match for one of those Saudi WWE shows, and I'll always remember because my little sisters were huge WWE fans. For little girls like my sisters to be able to see that, I mean, was crazy to me. I know it's super hokey and the inspiring.
Yeah, but not
stuff,
if you live in Arabia, right?
But it does mean a lot to them. Absolutely.
But let me ask you a question. I was in the military, and there's a big military base in Bahrain, which is like right off the coast of Saudi Arabia. It's kind of like the Las Vegas for Arabians, kind of, right?
Yeah, sure.
No?
Yeah, and Dubai, I would say.
Yeah, and I saw this a lot. And tell me if this is a Bahar. A lot of men holding hands, but they weren't like on a date. Like they were maybe. No. I'm serious.
Yeah. I remember.
What is that? Is that?
I remember the heat George W. Bush got for holding hands with the king of Saudi Arabia. It's just a different culture. I mean, we kiss each other on the cheek. We hold each other's hands. So
it's a form of friendship, right?
Absolutely. We call each other Habibi, which means my love. We're very sort of endearing to each other. 100%.
I got one last question before we get to our boy Masay here. Can you shed any light? Were you on that show when you guys went to Saudi Arabia and they held everybody in the plane and all that?
Yes, I was.
Can you shed any light on that?
What's the story on that?
I guess so. The story, I guess, was that while I was at the show, people kept telling me, hey, this match you have is really important. Okay, don't screw it up. My producer, Sugar Shane Helms, the Hurricane, kept saying,
yes.
Man, what's going on? Everybody's texting me saying, this is a horrible hurricane. I'm sorry. But he's like, what it is.
There you go.
That's
it.
He
getting texts saying, hey, you should be rehearsing this match every second. You should have been here yesterday on the practice ring practicing this match. Because they didn't even know that I had ever wrestled before. Everybody thought this was my first match. They thought it was brand new, green as goose shit. Excuse me, I don't know if I can swear.
Yeah.
But there was a lot riding on this match, and I didn't know why until after. Apparently, there was a dispute between WWE and the Saudi Sports Authority regarding the TV rights to showing the show. And I think WWE believed that if my match, the Saudi Boys match, went really well, Vince himself said this has to be a WrestleMania level match. That was what was told to me. That if that match went well, then maybe the Saudis would be more amenable to whatever agreement or deal that WWE was trying to get. So officially, legally, it was a mechanical failure where we were in the plane for a long time. But all
were you on the plane too?
I was on that plane, yes.
Yeah.
For me, it was no big deal because I just got to go back to my dad's house and hang out with my brothers and my sister.
Right.
But everybody else was pissed off, big time.
Disco.
So do you think? So let me ask you a question. Do you think that the Saudi government held back the plane until this thing got settled between Vince and them?
My opinion is that allegedly,
right,
the Saudi government can do whatever the hell it wants.
You're in their land. You're on their land.
You're a different part of the world. They just don't play. We have our rules here, and it's like,
listen, I gotta go back.
Our rules are unwritten rules in other countries. So
I gotta go back and make a ton of money doing a tour in the Middle East. So I'm choosing my words carefully.
Yeah. Make your cheese, bro.
I want to get to Masay. I met you, bro. You're a you grew up excelling at football, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
I was a professional football player. Yeah.
No, but where'd you go to college?
I went to college at University of North Carolina.
At North Carolina, and then when you got drafted into where'd you play in the NFL?
I got drafted to Houston, to the Texans,
Right.
and
Right.
In Jacksonville, right?
I played in Jacksonville. When I was with the Texans, that's when I became close with Booker T, which is why we met Disco at Reality of Wrestling. Because as soon as I was done playing football, I called up Booker and I was like, "Hey, I got a tryout in a couple of months. I'd love for you to train me so I don't look like a complete friggin' putz when I get into the tryout." So I ended up working with him for about a year. Did my tryout and ended up in WWE.
So here's my question. You obviously grew up. Did you grow up a wrestling fan?
I am more of a wrestling fan than I ever was a football fan.
Right.
I liked watching myself play football. I'm a narcissist in that way.
Right.
But I have seen very little football since I stopped playing football. I keep up because my brother is a national scout with the New England Patriots. So I need to make sure that he's doing well so we can get my kids Christmas presents. But which right now they're not. So I don't keep up too much.
I kind of grew up a little, I grew up I always tell this story, but when I grew up if you grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, right, and if you were a wrestling fan, you were lucky, right? Because if you had cable TV with WOR and USA Network, we would get the WWE, WWF wrestling back in the day, and USA Network once a month would show the Madison Square Garden shows on Sunday nights for 3 hours live from Madison Square Garden, right? Plus, right. I had the NWA Saturday night 6:00 from the TBS studios, but in Atlanta we had with this guy Joe Pedicino he was a mark that had on Channel 36. Every Saturday night would have 7 hours of wrestling from 8:00 to 3:00 in the morning from 7 different parts of the country. Florida, Bill Watts, Mid-South, it's just everywhere. So I grew up watching like 13 hours of wrestling every week. I'd stick the VCR and stuff. And so I was like, from a period of like 11 years old till like 17 or so, I was watching like more wrestling than most people from different parts of the country. But I'm also like a huge football fan, bro. We're in Wikipedia, right? Our fantasy football league started in like 1982, and we actually got Wikipedia to like put that the fantasy football league that I started and I still do today, 40-something years later. We're the oldest recorded fantasy football league in the United States. Really? Like Wikipedia, right? So I have always been like I've loved wrestling to the point that I trained to do it, but I've always loved football more. I cannot miss like Sunday afternoon. I have to be in front of like all the games and watching TV and stuff because like I'm a football junkie, but I still love professional wrestling. I think it's funny that like you love wrestling more than football. I find that hard to believe. Yeah.
Well, it's for me at least, football was always so encompassing because my father was also a pro football player. He played for the Patriots, Jets, and Seahawks for 11 years. So I was always around football. And even when I was a kid, I'd be in the locker room at Patriots training camp, and it was kind of just like another day. So I've always kind of just looked at it different, and it was kind of just something that I did because I was good at it and I enjoyed it. But when I was done, I was ready to move on to something else.
And you grew up in it, right? And wrestling, you didn't grow up in it, you didn't know anything about it, you never been in the dressing room, so it's a whole different world to you.
I want to ask you this.
Completely different world.
I want to ask you this. Give me the differences and the similarities between the wrestling locker room and the football locker room.
So the personality type is completely different.
Explain that.
The thing with football, and something that it took me a long time to get used to, and not to sound sour grapes or anything, but football is 100% a meritocracy. It's if you are the best at a position, you will play that position. It doesn't matter, who you know. If you're on the team, if you're the best person for a job, you're the one that does it. Wrestling,
sports is a meritocracy, pretty much by definition, right? Yeah.
In sports
Is he really low to you guys right now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
your volume went down real quick.
It went. Yeah, I don't know.
I moved my mic away. I thought I was peaking. Okay.
There you
Yeah.
With wrestling, it took me a long time to get used to because I started training. I thought I was doing well, and opportunities didn't necessarily come to me. They'd go to somebody else, and I was like, "Oh, why? I feel like I'm doing better than such and such, or I think I'm on pace with such and such. Why am I not getting all of the same opportunities that person's getting?" And it's a completely different world in that factor.
Well, I'll tell you what the big difference is, Masay, and as you've learned, it's who you know. It's who's kind of like your godfather. Everybody has people that they protect, whether it's Bruce Pritchard or Vince or Hunter or Road Dogg or Shawn Michaels or whoever, and everybody in position of power, and everybody else is just, unless you get hot by yourself organically or something happens, you're not somebody that's going to be chosen for. There's a lot of people that get chance after chance after chance, and there's some people that only get one or two chances and that's it. It isn't the best a lot of times.
Said our chance was the biggest push we ever got was the 2 weeks that Vince was pushing the model thing. And
Right.
we say we must be the most unlucky people in the world because we had our big push for 2 weeks where they were practicing Money in the Bank and they would clear the bowl. They would clear the bowl for our modeling segments. And Vince would come down, and Vince does not come out very often anymore. Vince would come out and he's like, "All right, make sure you turn like this and make sure you do this." He was very hands-on with us. 2 weeks later, we get a text. "I'm retiring." Completely unheard of luck.
Let me ask you a question because I'm always bizarre at this because me and Konnan, I don't know if you listen. I don't know if you guys listen to our show, right? But we were very complimentary of you guys because they gave you a gimmick. You embraced the gimmick 100% and engrossed yourself in the gimmick, which I've always thought, like in my history, the history of professional wrestling, people that do that get rewarded.
Right.
What went haywire there with you guys? Because I was like, why is this content on YouTube? You're doing entertaining content on YouTube and go, why is this stuff not on the show? This is entertaining stuff. Like who there was the wet blanket on what you guys were doing? Because I loved your gimmick. I was like, wow, I'd watch you guys on TV because the thing is like, your typical internet goofy, smart mark wrestling community probably like, oh, this is stupid. But I'm like watching like, bro, this is good character acting. They're in the ring. They're embracing the gimmick like you're doing the tags with your point your finger. Like you're just doing things that like okay, what can we do to sell this gimmick, right? And you're doing it very well. And I was like what went haywire there? Like because I thought you guys should have been pushed. So
I think we're just kind of a byproduct of being the last Vince project right before he went. It's just that's the luck of the
Vince
draw.
Vince is 100%. You're like, but he didn't like LA Knight, right?
And so with
What's
LA
the story
Knight,
there?
He didn't like Max. He didn't like Max
He didn't like
Dupree.
Max Dupree. He didn't like Max Dupree. What?
So the thing about LA Knight is he had a dark match. And obviously LA Knight, charismatic body guy, jacked, looks great. So Vince looks at the monitor and he goes, "Wow, who's that guy?" And Johnny Ace comes by and goes, "Oh, that's LA Knight. He's in developmental." And Vince is like, "Let's call him up." And then Johnny goes, "Well, he's like 40." And Vince, they were on a huge age kick at the time. Like they wanted young people. That's when NXT 2.0 rebranded. So
That's
Vince
when they were all 20 years old, and
Let me just say one thing, bro. Let me just say one thing, because I had that same issue with Layfield a long time ago. I went in there and he asked me my age, and I'm like, "Are you gonna flash my age up on the fucking screen? You don't flash your brother's age up there, and his brother's older than me." Yeah, but go ahead.
Totally ridiculous because obviously it's not about how old you are; it's about how old you feel. And LA's healthy; he can go. Awesome performer. But Vince and Johnny's solution to that problem was, well, let's make him a manager. Let's make this jacked, charismatic guy a manager. So they come up with the Max Dupree character, and this was for the maximum male model gimmick that Vince had in the tank for like a year. What the writers told us was that Vince has been going on in the writers' room, "Damn it, we need to get some male models on the show. I want to see some catwalking." Yeah. And they've been saying, we want models. And finally, I mean, lucky or unlucky, depending on how you look at it, we were two guys who were doing nothing at the time, and Vince pulls us into his office and says, "Well, you're a couple of good-looking guys."
We're like, thank you, Vince, thank you.
I'm blushing. I'm like, "Oh, Vince," and he says,
Plus, let me just say one thing.
"Sure."
It doesn't matter, bro. Especially you probably didn't have a lot of interaction with him. When you're in front of Vince, you're like in awe. That's
Oh,
number
yeah.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's funny is we actually did have a lot of interaction with him.
You did?
Partially
That's
because he
cool.
was so hands-on with that project, and partially just I don't know. He always just seemed easier for me to access. I've had plenty of conversations with him,
Okay,
and
well,
I was also
Let's get the cat out of the bag. Why didn't Hunter like this?
I think that Hunter had a similar thing going on that was his creation with Pretty Deadly, and that's no heat on those guys. We love those guys, and honestly,
guys.
we kind of took their thing when we were the maximum male models, so I don't blame them at all.
I never
But I think-
until you brought that up. I'd never even thought of that. I was like, well, wow, the Pretty Deadly is kind of like they took the maximum male model spot because they're doing kind of like an offshoot of the same.
Yeah,
gimmick.
but you could have had one. You could have Pretty Deadly on one show and these guys on another show. You know,
We
and then when you had
pitched. Yeah, we wanted to have a match where when we were told, "Hey, we're killing off the gimmick, we're going to rebrand you guys," we said, "Listen, what are we leaving money on the table for? Why are we not doing a Pretty Deadly match where the loser has to never model again? Or why don't we work Pretty Deadly?
That's typical
Right.
sports entertainment at WWE. They love that, you would think,
Why
right?
don't we work Pretty Deadly where they take a hammer and smash my face, break my nose, so that I can never model again because I'm so ugly?" There were so many avenues we
great.
could have gone down,
Right.
but just the way
we
that company
pitched
is.
we pitched a reverse bra and panties match where instead of stripping off each other's clothes, we'd have to put on like a really ugly outfit and take pictures in it so that
Right.
we could never be seen in the fashion industry again.
I mean, we had pictures
Right.
every single week. Every single week. We wanted to do a whole storyline with Otis where he joined the Maximum Male Models and we gassed him up and Maxine was flirting with him. Just so when he finally did his big fashion show, he came down the walkway and we dumped like shit on him or just embarrass him like that movie Carrie. And we're laughing at him. And then him and Chad Gable can feud with us. I mean, we had so many ideas.
Bro,
But-
plus two. So, like, if you look at like the way modeling is presented today, it's almost like a parody. There's so much like humorous things where people come out these days dressed
Absolutely.
absurdly, you know. Like it says, there were so many different things you could do with this. I'm like, I just can't understand like how this ball was dropped. And like it's like here you guys are now, like you're doing indies and stuff, but like I thought you were two of the more entertaining characters on the show.
Thank you.
You know?
And Disco, to your point, to our commitment to it, we were very fortunate in the fact that Vince had no idea that we're best friends. Our families go on cruises together.
How did you guys do? Let's do a quick sidebar here. How did
Yeah.
you guys become best friends?
Day one at the PC. It was like...
Yeah.
it
I was
just-
already there. He signed. I heard that he was into the same kind of stuff that I'm in. We both play
Which is
video
what?
games.
Which is what?
Video games. I like anime, internet stuff. We're kind of like-minded in that way. And then
we
when
grew
we
up
met,
on the same websites, the same TV shows, the same
we
movies.
both love
the same-
TNA Impact.
We love TNA. We both
Hey.
grew up on it.
Let me ask you a question because anime seems to be a real big thing, especially like your generation and younger,
Yeah.
which was really not even around in our generation.
Right.
Now, since anime, a lot of it's also cartoons. Was there a cartoon on TV, or did you just watch it online? How did this blow up so much? Because especially in the wrestling community, a lot of anime, and gamers but
Yeah.
Right around the time we were growing up,
yeah.
there was a program on TV called Toonami on Cartoon Network, where on a certain hour
Right.
of the night, like right before I went to bed, I got to watch anime. We got to watch anime like Dragon Ball Z, Cowboy Bebop, Gurren Lagann. And that was like, of course, you're so impressionable when you're that age that you're seeing for the first time. Cartoons for us were like kid cartoons, right? They're
Yeah.
funny, they're slapstick. It's like Hanna-Barbera. But anime was like, there were gunfights and like action sequences and rocket ships, and that blew our minds, I think.
And the crossover, the crossover between anime fans and wrestling fans. So, a lot of people who are both anime fans and wrestling fans, and a lot of wrestlers who are also anime fans, will describe wrestling as anime for rednecks. Like
Yeah.
it's very much kind of the same tropes, kind of the same vibes. It's all about action. It's slightly more edgy or adult
every anime
oriented.
has a top baby face, and
Yep.
then they build up a heel to get fed to the baby face, and then they move to a new territory, which is like a new planet, so they can get a new heel to fight the top baby face.
So good storytelling.
Big time.
Yeah,
My-
it's
my
the same
thing-
kind of storytelling.
Something I understand
Me
now,
and you-
and sorry, Dad, something I understand now that you guys can confirm too is that while the comic book industry is losing readers and fans and stuff because they're kind of leaning towards the PC type culture, anime supposedly is not. So people that are sick of comics getting a little too left wing or soft or whatever will go to anime or stick with it because it's not changing like that. Does that make sense?
The thing with anime and manga specifically is it's pretty consistent. They have a pretty standardized culture in what they produce, and you're always going to kind of get what you're looking for if you're going into that realm. So I could see what you mean. Certain people who might feel like they're maybe not being catered to as much in the comics industry. Comics have become so mainstream with Marvel and DC movies right now that when things become mainstream and they try to appeal to like the widest audience possible, obviously that makes a lot of money, but that leaves a lot to be desired for like more specific storytelling or themes that
Taking
you just
risks.
don't want to touch on. Yeah, you don't take risks.
I'm gonna reveal something about myself that I would probably prefer people didn't know. Right.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
That I kind of like my thing, my shtick on on the show and like on the internet and stuff and thing is like I'm kind of like really kind of soured on like the nerd culture, okay, as the way it pertains to the way it's grasped professional wrestling, okay. But growing up, right, even though I was a huge sports fan, loved football, played stuff, dude, I was a Dungeons and Dragons junkie.
Yeah.
You played that?
Dude, I literally went to a Dragons convention. Okay, so I was like,
What a
I kind
mark.
of like you.
That's awesome.
Like, I love football, but I was kind of like into that. I was a huge comic book fan growing up. Dark Knight is still the best comic book in the history of comic books. That 2-part series with Superman and Batman stuff. I still think that's the best. The X-Men Sentinel series they did like those
Days of Future Past.
right
Oh,
Days
yeah.
of Future Past. Okay, so like, I was a huge fan of that, but when I became famous and started clubbing and stuff and everything like that, those interests just completely just like passed me by.
Yeah, well, that happens a lot.
So it's like that's what happened to me. Like, but I was kind of like the maybe kind of like the typical wrestling guy now that's kind of like nerdy. We were into the same stuff, but it's like my interest kind of like elevated beyond that stuff, But
Sure.
but I still see like a majority of the professional wrestlers today that are still engrossed in it, which kind of draws that nerdy audience and stuff. And I think that's one of the things that wrestling is kind of like, I don't want to say failing on, but it's like it's preventing them from kind of connecting to the cooler crowd.
Here's
Like,
what I would say about that.
what do you think? Go ahead.
I think that, well, personally, as far as me and Brennan go, we both married young and had kids young, so I think that
Right.
prevents us from like going clubbing. Like,
We don't go
You're
clubbing.
different. Right. Yeah.
We did a
Right.
SmackDown, and of course, Disco, Karrion Kross, formerly Killer Kross.
Of course, yeah.
Kevin and Scarlett invited us to a club, and this was like the first time we'd ever gone out after a show for a party environment.
Right.
And we walked in there, and it looked like, you ever watch Blade? It looked like one of those
Oh, yeah.
vampire orgies.
Yeah.
It was like I thought
Yeah.
blood was going to start raining down. People were going to go.
Dude, I'm from Vegas. I'm from
Was it in Vegas?
It's like, yeah.
Was the club in Vegas?
I think it was in Chicago, right, Brennan?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I was in
well-
Chicago.
Yeah, that's where she's from, and she used to be like a bottle girl there.
Oh
Okay?
wow, yeah, they
So
had
she
those.
knows she knows
Yeah,
all
'cause she
the
got us in.
top clubs.
Our
Yeah.
minds
yeah.
were blown. It was a completely different environment because
Yeah.
we weren't going out getting wasted and looking for girls. But I will say, I totally see what you're coming with. But as a counterpoint, I would argue that nerds have a lot more money to spend, or at least willing to spend more money on T-shirts, on
Merchandise.
accessories, trading cards. Cool guys are not buying trading cards. Let's be real.
Point. Perfect
Right.
point.
That's a very
we've
good
talked-
point.
We've talked about this. that you have an like obsessive wrestling fans, which is a large part of the community right now, are very willing to spend all of their resources on professional wrestling. Like Joe told me a term that I'd never heard before, but like that wrestling has a lot of what you call completists.
Yeah.
Like the people that will buy the whole collection of action figures, the whole collection. This like, and I never really had even heard of the community like that, you know. But what wrestling is drawn upon is kind of like weird. It's almost like it's like a fetish that the fans of the fetish are willing to like invest in and keep and like grow the fetish. That's that's kind of like the way I look at it these days.
Speaking of fetish, I recently got a message asking me to take a video of me taking off my shoes and socks and showing a guy my feet.
Oh, you got my email. Oh,
guys.
Excellent.
There was a guy. I mean, I don't know if he's probably hitting up all the wrestlers, but there was some guy that like was wanting hitting me up in DMs wanting. He says, "I collect wrestlers' underwear."
Oh yeah.
Can you say that you've gotten that DM too from the guys?
I'm sure Mace has.
Because just the fact that the guy said I collect wrestlers' underwear and he hit me up. I'm assuming this guy's like hit up everybody else, everything, you know. So, but I was like, no, dude, you can't have my underwear.
My DMs are crowded. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Let me ask you a question. What is this? Because I have no knowledge of this. What that says here that you have appeared in various streams. I'm talking about MACE of the tabletop role-playing YouTube channel, The Third Wheel. What is that?
Okay, so I guess off of what Disco was saying, I'm also a big Dungeons and Dragons player, and one of the ways to play Dungeons and Dragons and actually make a lot of money doing it now is you do it in like a streamed or recorded format, and there are these shows that basically. If you think of Dungeons and Dragons, it is a game, but at the end of the day, you're telling a story. And if you record it and you put some production behind it, it's just a TV show. So I'm a part of a couple of things that are about playing the game, but also recording it, playing characters, and people watch that. And they watch it on YouTube. They watch it. Me and Mansour, we Twitch stream every week, twice a week or 3 times a week, where... or we're working on our own thing right now, but yeah, for that specifically, it's just another way to get out and.
So Dungeons and Dragons is still a thing these days, huh?
Oh,
it's bigger than ever right now.
Is it really? Because I was always chaotic good.
You're a chaotic good guy?
I was always chaotic good. That was,
a Robin Hood?
Right, yeah.
There are people now a lot of people who will pay to watch people play Dungeons and Dragons live.
Isn't that unbelievable?
I've played live. I've played live at a convention. Yeah.
That to me is just weird. That people that like will... I gotta ask the two of you this. Have you ever watched online somebody playing video games?
Oh, yeah.
Have you really?
Yeah.
What is I can't. I'm not a gamer. I quit. I would. Here's my gaming venture into gaming. I bought Halo. All right.
Oh, great game.
I got my computer out. I put the walkthrough right next to me. Okay.
Awesome.
I played Halo, and I went through it, and like that. What was the other one? The bald the
God of War.
Assassin. No. The assassin guy. No, not the Assassin's Creed. The
Hitman.
Hitman. I'd get Hitman. Awesome. I'd play. I'd put the walkthrough next to it, and just, bro, I would play a video game. I wouldn't sleep. Like 37 hours, I'd just go through the whole game, and then that was done. And then I wouldn't play another game for like another 2-3 months.
Wow,
that was my video gaming.
You know what else they do on YouTube now, Di, and I'm assuming Twitch too, is the channel owner will play the new WWE game, but he'll book storylines and matches, and people will follow along like it's a show.
That's what
we have a show. Yeah. We have a show like that. Yeah.
You have one
now. Can you monetize that, guys? Can you monetize that?
Sure,
absolutely.
That's great. Good for you, bro. Good for you.
Why are we not doing that?
Yeah,
because I'm not a gamer.
Hold on a second. I can show you guys. There's a fantasy booking program where you can sign guys through any point in history, 80s, 90s, 2000s now. You can make a show. You can book every week. You can sign any wrestler you want. You can give them all new gimmicks. You can have them feud, and it'll tell you the ratings and how many people watch the show and the attendance.
Yeah. I was saying before to Disc,
Wow.
I don't think he knew when we talked
Bro,
about.
you know when's the last time I played a game? Anytime I've gone over to Rey Mysterio's house, okay, and Dominic.
Yeah,
would
Ray and
just
Dom are
dust-
gamers.
They'll dust me and everything. That's the only time I ever, because I'm old school. I'm Donkey Kong, Tekken, that type of shit.
Right.
This
Yeah.
isn't like
New
a
Tekken,
video
new
game.
Tekken comes out. Yeah.
We play Tekken.
Yes, sweet. I like that.
Say like-
Mansour.
like a video.
I was reading this. And I thought it was a great idea. Did you come up with an idea, or they were going to do an idea where you were going to do something on Scientology with Miz as the Tom Cruise guy?
That's right. That's
That's
one
a
of our
great
pitches.
idea.
Yeah. We actually
Really?
flew. We flew.
Tell
to Stanford.
Disco.
Sure. So, Disco, we flew to Stanford because this was after Maximum Male Models was killed. We were told no more Maximum Male Models. Actually, what's funny is we were told that we were going to take the Maximum Male Models in a new direction. And until then, we were going to be off TV. And Maxine was just going to go to Alpha Academy with Chad and Otis. So we were like, okay, what does that mean, taking it a new direction? Well, we were told we need you guys to be a little less flamboyant. If you guys know what I'm actually trying to say. So we say, okay, we get new gear that looks more like wrestler gear. We try to be a little bit more masculine. We pitched walking around reading Playboy just to show that we were really masculine.
Right.
But they were like, listen, we don't think it's going to work out. We think we're going to have you be a complete repackaged, totally new gimmick. So we send in a bunch of ideas. One of them was that we were going to be like the two guys in Pulp Fiction. We shot a vignette with that in a limousine.
Oh.
And then one of
That
them
would have been
was
great.
Yeah.
a multi-level marketing scheme, which was like a cult based on Scientology called The Answer. And we filmed a vignette like a commercial where I was the fast-talking, smooth-talking salesman, and Mace was like my heavy, my bodyguard.
The
making
first,
sure
the
that
first
nobody
true
got
believer, but it's clearly like a scam. Yeah.
Dude, honestly, I do a gimmick on Madden. Mark Madden, the use for WCW. I go to a show and play a character where I'm a gambling expert, and we do the picks of the gaze each week. But so we did a gimmick where like I embrace Scientology, okay, and I get my picks from Tom Cruise because I pay for the next level and stuff like this. So we get all
That's
the
right.
all the good football picks, right?
Uh-huh.
But the terminology I always uses on the show is like when he's being insulting me for losing games, I say, now you're being a suppressive person.
Suppressive person.
Now I have to detach, bro. Like the terminology of Scientology is such a great gimmick. Like
had an
suppressive
idea
person,
where-
detach. So like,
we were gonna
right. Go ahead.
we were gonna have guys join our group by basically
Right.
planting seeds that all the people in their lives are suppressive people. We were gonna get Riddick Moss, Madcap Moss,
Dude.
who we believe is super talented. We were gonna say, hey, like Riddick, we know things have been going well for you, but we have the answer. And then
Dude.
Emma was gonna be like, oh, I don't know if this is the right thing. We said,
How-
Madcap, Emma, she's being a suppressive person, bro. You gotta let her go.
She's trying to
great-
prevent you from becoming your true potential.
How great would the
great.
vignettes be of the audits? Right.
Oh yeah, where you
You're
have
auditing.
And it
The
could be-
audit. You're auditing the other person. Like,
Hidden camera.
feeling
Hidden
right,
camera.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's actually good. Bro, they fumbled two
Now
gimmicks. With you.
Now, did you ever bring up this idea to Miz, and did he like it?
Right.
We actually, I showed him as the vignette, and he was a big fan. Yeah,
Right.
He said he really enjoyed it. But this was before we were told that. Actually, we went to Connecticut. We pitched it to Creative, and their idea was for Miz to be our Tom Cruise because Miz wasn't
Right.
doing anything at the time, and we was like, "Oh,
That
my
would've
God,
been
that's
great.
Perfect. We could have had Miz go on the MVP's show and jump on his couch.
Jump on his couch. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it
Or
would've been
he
great.
could be the David Miscavige character.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
the head, he comes across as like like a pretty boy.
We
like,
wanted,
Honestly-
right? Yeah.
we wanted our commercials to play during the ad breaks of Raw, like before we debuted. We wanted
And
to
then
make
not
it
have
like
anybody
this is-
realize that it was part of the show. Have it could be like a completely at the end of the ad break, have this answer thing,
Right.
and not really show us immediately, and then kind of gradually have everybody be like, "Oh, what is this? What is this thing they keep showing?" And then build intrigue as it actually becomes a wrestling thing.
Bro, that's a great idea. I can't believe, because a lot of times we always discuss on this show, sometimes you got to give creative ideas because they do run out of ideas, or you're not one of their, you're not a, favorite of a key person, right? So you got to give a, bro, those are two great ideas that you just gave.
And the thing
You
for
know, it's-
us is we never wanted to just sit at home and collect a check. We feel like we're kind of in our prime right now, and we want to take advantage of us being in our prime while we can. So we were always pitching new ideas, always pitching new stuff. I think we just ended up unlucky that we were just guys that weren't doing anything at a time they needed to free up some salary cap to take from, actual sports.
But there's a lot of stories, as you both know, of people leaving and coming back. And sometimes you gotta make yourself a little prettier somewhere else. And you know what I'm saying? Like Cody Rhodes did and other people have done,
Which we're very happy and excited to do.
Yeah. So let me ask you one question here, Mansour. I was reading. What is this show about? This some of the people, I don't even know who they are. Finnish artist Ronco and British artist Luke Turner.
Yeah.
And Shia LaBeouf, that you guys have a live. Oh, is that a lie? Is that a lie or what?
No. That's true. So when I was in college, Shia LaBeouf, who's an actor, you may have seen him on Even Stevens or Transformers. Outside of a museum, he put up a camera, and it was part of like a live art piece social experiment where anybody in New York City could come and just stand in front of the camera. And the idea was like to chant, "He will not divide us." But people were coming in crazy. I mean, like there were bums coming by and spitting in the camera. There were people licking the camera. There were guys promoting their Instagram. And yeah, I went down there and I spoke to the people there for like hours at a time. I was so bored. I was in college. I kind of hated it, to be honest with you. But I met the love of my life there, so I'm happy I went. But I went there and I entertained the people who were watching. And before I got signed, actually, that's how a lot of people knew me. I would reenact movie scenes that people liked. Because I was actually, I went to college for acting. Because I wanted to be better at wrestling. I was like, what can I do? What can I study that'll make me more comfortable performing in front of a crowd? So I studied acting at NYU in New York. So I went over there and I would recite entire scenes, all the characters in a movie scene, back and forth. And that's how people really enjoyed it.
Well, let me ask, Joe, you have some stuff where they're going to be coming up soon, right?
Yes, I do.
Can you please promote that?
I want to hang on before I want to ask a question here real quick before, because we don't get a lot of WWE guys on the show because for some, I don't know.
More so
for
than
some reason we're so toxic that people can't come on our show. Like so, give me like the stereotype of like the average WWE writer.
We were.
Is there a lot of diversity of the writers, or writers kind of all the same? They're kind
there's not a lot of diversity. No.
Give me an example. Give me an example. I want to hear.
So here's the problem. It's not the problem with the writers, because we had a great writer especially with the model thing, and because we went out and did that YouTube show on our own, we did all that by ourselves. By the time they actually wanted to give us like a push on their end, they were very receptive to everything we had to say. We would they'd ask for ideas and they would just do our pitches, which did not happen at any other point in our career. So we had a pretty good relationship with the writers that we had, but the problem is you've got a lot of writers, and at the end of the day,
how many? Give me a number. Give me a number.
So I was in production meetings when I was on commentary, and for a show, you probably got, what do you think, Mansour? 10, 12, like
I'd say 12
15
per
writers?
Show.
Yeah, 12 per show.
Per show.
Jesus.
And at the end of the day, only one person makes all of the decisions for the show. Right. So at the end of the day, one person is booking everything, and the writers are just scrambling to try and make that booking come to reality. It's not a collaborative process. So for the writers, it's a very difficult job, because I'm sure they get into it thinking, oh, I'm going to help write this show. You're just writing lines for whoever is at the top wants the show to look like.
They're writing dialogue. They're not writing the show per se, right? Whoever the booker is, Vince or Hunter, will say, I need something for this guy, and this guy. I want these guys to do something together. And it's the writer's job to kind of make that happen. Not so much actually figure out who is doing what.
So basically, it's like you get the writers are there for like, all right, we need some good lines on the show. There's 12 writers, and then whatever lines are good, those are the ones we're using on the show. And that's basically
and then with Vince specifically, we'd get a script, right? And then every once in a while, it would be a highlighted or bold part of the script That would be a part of the script that Vince wanted specifically, as opposed to something like anything else was kind of negotiable. If it was something written by a writer, it was negotiable. But the bold highlighted section was word of God. You must say it, and you must say it how he wanted it.
And sometimes it wasn't even dialogue. Like there's one time where Sami Zayn walked into Vince's office while he was speaking to somebody, and Sami goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt." And Vince says, "Well, you did." So then Sami goes and talks to his writer, and his writer gives him a piece of paper, and it's his segment. And Sami notices that on the segment script, it says highlighted in bold in the directions, not the lines. It says on the script, and then Sami walks in and interrupts like a rude bastard. And Sami was like, "Why is this highlighted? I'm not saying it."
Right. Oh my God, that's great.
So,
cool.
you want me to hit those plugs, Konnan?
Yeah. You guys have some upcoming shows, right?
Yeah,
do.
that's right.
Okay, promote them, Joe. He'll announce them, and
Sure.
you give any comment you want. Go ahead.
Absolutely.
So, Royal Rumble weekend, the guys are going to be in Tampa for GCW. That's January 26th and 27th. And also on January 20th.
Do you know who? Wait 1 second. Do you know who you're wrestling there yet?
Yeah, we do. So 26th,
Oh.
I'm in a singles match with Tony Deppen, and then on the
Right.
27th, we are wrestling a tag team called Bussy.
We'll see.
Pussy.
Yeah,
Ooh. Do you know them?
yeah.
We
It's
do.
Effie. It's Effie and Alley Catch.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, Effie. Yeah, Disco
Yeah.
wrestled Effie. Yeah,
I
go
mean,
ahead, Joe.
But bro, have you been? Do you know Effie?
I never met him.
We
Okay,
just interacted
but we've heard
online.
great
Yeah.
things.
Perfect example. Okay, obviously, he is what he is, but when you meet him, totally old school type of wrestling guy. So like
Cool.
really cool. I'm not say surprised, but I was like, well, this guy's kind of like just, he's not like one of these new school cats. He's kind of like an old school guy when he comes when it comes to the business, like the way he likes to work and stuff. So.
I mean, he's done an awesome job, like promoting himself and creatively,
Absolutely.
like, putting himself out there. He's absolutely one of the top names on the Indies, I would say, for sure.
Yeah. So you'll have fun. You'll have fun with that. So
Cool.
And he cuts a good promo. You guys should probably have a good verbal battle before the show. So
And that's actually
Right.
Brennan, Mace. I don't know if we can spoil this.
Let's give him the scoop. We can give him the scoop.
We're gonna give you guys the inside scoop. That will be the return of the male models.
oh,
So
That's awesome.
you know how like Finn Balor or Kane, whenever they end up in like a Hell in a Cell or something, they need to go back to that dark place. They need to become the Demon
Right.
King again to take advantage of that hellish environment. So we're going to Big Gay Brunch, right? And
Right.
if we're going to Big Gay Brunch, we have to go back to that dark place. We need to
we have to
become
go.
somebody.
right,
We have to go to the
Walk
dark
that-
place
walk-
in our closet.
right, yeah.
So,
Walk that catwalk.
Yes.
so next week, well, actually, let me say first, is that a Paparazzi Productions TNA t-shirt?
Yes,
Oh,
it is.
Maybe it's not that deep of a dive, but you remember that, right, Konnan, with Alex Shelley and Kevin Nash?
Sure, I was on the roster when he came out with
Yeah,
that.
that was
Yeah.
such great stuff. at that
That's
time.
like our golden era of wrestling. Me and Mace.
We
guys-
we connected.
You and
because of
LAX,
that, yeah.
Konnan, Kevin
Yeah.
Nash and Paparazzi Production, Christian, Kurt Angle, Sting, Samoa Joe, and TNA. Yeah, we
What
were.
was the Mansour? What was the show we were just? It was the one with the fire, right?
Hard
'Cause,
Justice. Hard Justice.
Where we're watching the LA. It was LAX against AJ and
Daniels.
Daniels?
and Daniels, and we're sitting there watching it, and we're like, man. How are LAX the bad guys?
They were 100% right.
In what way are they not the baby faces? They are 100% right.
So then on January, I'm sorry, go ahead, Konnan.
No, go ahead.
Okay. On January 20th, next weekend, they're going to be at Deadlock Pro Wrestling in Raleigh, North Carolina. And just 1 second. And you can check that at dpwondemand.com where it'll be streaming. That's Raleigh, North Carolina, January 20th for DPW.
That's going to be our tag team return.
Yes,
Our first tag team match on the Indies.
we've
Well,
been
go
all
out,
over the
man.
place with singles right now, but
Everybody that's been listening to the show, now you know these guys a little more personally. Go out there and support them. You can tell they're intelligent, hard workers. They love the business. And so for that, we should give them our support. Mace, are you still a football fan?
Yeah, I keep up enough. I keep up with my brother's stuff.
Who do you got in the Super Bowl?
The Ravens look pretty good right now.
Right? And the
Ravens
other
look
side?
good. I guess the other side has got to be the Chiefs, right? No, that's the best booking.
No, the Ravens or the Chiefs are the
No.
same one. The other
Oh,
side.
no,
NFC. In the
I
NFC.
got an under. I think the Rams are good.
49ers,
You think
maybe?
the Rams? Yeah, 49ers.
I like
could be
I like
right.
I was very surprised that the 49ers beat the Rams this week with when they were the Rams are resting all their starters. That was like kind of like because they wanted like I don't know if you but like now they have the one team has a bye week going into like so.
Right.
Like San Francisco didn't really want to like have 2 straight weeks of starters out, like, and then because you get flat, like, especially this late in the season. So but they lost to the Rams, and when they were trying to win, and I thought, I don't know, I kind of like the Rams now. So
It's a tough balance because the season is so long and it's getting longer, right? Where it's very much like a war of attrition. A football season is, and you've got guys who are of various ages, and games are hard. It's the same thing as a bump card. You can only get hit so many times,
Right.
so
Right.
it's like a
isn't that
balance
great,
of trying
bro?
to.
Do you guys watch AEW?
Yeah.
Yeah,
How? Okay, I see this in AEW a lot. I only see it in WWE like on pay-per-views. Bro, the amount of physical risks these guys are taking, like apron bumps and stuff. Like I'm just like, it's kind of I don't know. It's good. The back of the day, if you would have like asked guys, hey, let's do a Death Valley Driver on the apron, and they'd be like, what are you crazy? It's like it's like, but it's like these days, it's like every show, multiple times a show, you're watching guys willing to like crack a rib or bust their neck or something.
yeah, it's
and I'm like
the
going,
nature of the
like,
business.
I will say
that's not what they're teaching you at the Performance Center, 100%,
no,
right?
absolutely
Yeah,
not. But I will
right.
say this: what they taught us at the Performance Center and what our bosses expected of us were totally different. Now,
Right.
when you look at who is booking AEW and who is booking WWE, that kind of style is exactly what they want. The only person who hated that was Vince, and he's gone. So
Right.
it's all you're gonna see.
That's the nature of the business now. Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember
right.
Vince.
Plus, I
chewed
think.
out,
Go ahead.
Vince chewed out our friend Dijak. He's Dijak in NXT, but he used to be T-Bar in Retribution, and he took a sick tornado DDT off the apron onto the floor. And I think Vince. Mace, you would know more than me. I'm pretty sure said, "Don't you ever fucking do that again."
But I'll be honest. Vince is looking at this. It's like, dude, if like somebody breaks their neck on my show,
Oh yeah,
who's gonna get the heat?
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he's like looking at these guys doing this stuff and going like, I don't want the heat, guys. Don't cripple yourselves out there because they're not gonna get mad at you. They're gonna get mad at me. So I can see like how he wants to. I've always promoted safety. I don't. I don't know if you guys watch a lot of my stuff growing up, but I'm very
sure.
safe.
Yeah.
To this day, I'm in good physical condition. I could.
Yeah,
you know,
and
Disco. I've worked you, brother. I've worked
Right,
you.
exactly. Right, yeah, right, exactly. So yeah.
And
So-
look, there's something to be said for that style, the Miz style, disco style, a lot of those guys, right? Very safe style, and that's cool. But bro, there's guys that you can't tell them to be safe because they don't understand anything else. Like I was reading, I think Mace, you liked Eddie Guerrero, right?
I love Eddie. Yeah.
All right. You could not tell Eddie ever, or Chris Benoit ever, or Rey Mysterio. A lot of people, I go down the list, take it easy. Because they didn't understand any other speed except 100% full go.
Yeah.
When you're young, you're trying to make an impression, you're trying to get people to look at you, you're willing to take those risks. Is that kind of the mentality?
Yeah, and when you're young, you also feel like you're invincible. You feel like
Right,
nothing can hurt you
100%.
until. And a lot of those guys, I'm sure Ray. Not that Ray takes it easier in any way, but after getting hurt or dealing with an injury, now all of a sudden
He's just smarter. He's just smarter. That's
it
all.
makes you smarter.
Right.
Yeah, once you realize that you're not indestructible, when you're
Right.
out of your 20s and you realize, hey, if I'm on the shelf for a year, then I'm not making
Right.
as much money as I should be.
Right.
And
it opens up the space of somebody taking my place.
you could take my place, and at the same time, we've only got a short span. This isn't a job that you can do for your entire life. So if you end up out for a year, then that's a percentage of your career that you can never get back. So, I think that's something everybody learns. We're still young, so we're in the process of learning it too. But I just feel like it's the nature of the business right now. Is everything's going faster, everything's more, and you work
Right,
for
and you
your
see it in
boss.
everything. If you look at skateboarding from 30 years ago, if you look at auto racing, if you look at anything, everything's gotten wilder, more dangerous, more riskier.
Yeah.
That's just, the nature of the beast. Well, I just want to say I never had the pleasure of meeting you guys. Thank you for coming on the show. We hope you guys nothing but luck. All promoters out there that listening to the show, you saw the type of character that these guys are. Book them on there. You never know. One day we may even work together. You know what I'm saying?
That would be
So
phenomenal.
Love that.
yeah. Just anything you guys want to shout out, your tweet, your X, your anything that you're associated with.
And
Your
would you guys
tabletop game.
and would you guys have any interest in maybe judging a karaoke contest WrestleMania weekend?
Oh, okay.
Now
Now,
that's
what
our
about-
speed.
What about competing in the karaoke contest?
Oh, you could do that too. Yeah, I'm doing a little thing with like listeners of this show and other shows that I'm associated with, where everyone's going to meet at a bar for this karaoke night. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
that'd be
trying to
great.
get some
Yeah.
trying to get some of the guys
Because it's the
involved.
only way he can get people to go and listen to him, because he will
Trying to
do
be-
Axl
Oh, you're
Rose
singing.
at the drop of a dime. Yeah.
Oh, you're putting yourself over in this karaoke
Yes.
spot. Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Well, that's what I want
Oh,
judges.
A vanity project.
Yeah, that's why I want
Yeah,
judges
yeah,
so that it's not crooked.
Got it.
Well, I
Yeah,
can-
you can follow me at Suave Mansour. That's SUAVE MANSOOR on all socials. Mace.
And on all socials, I am Great Black Otaku, OTAKU. You can also follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/Great Black Otaku, where we stream 3 times a week.
Yeah, we're
You can
streaming
check
this
out-
Thursday with our fantasy booking stream, where you can see us book the best shows that you'll watch all week. Okay,
Yeah,
so you're
I'm
gonna love it.
I'm in charge of WCW. In
Yeah.
what year? What year are we in? 2006,
We're working 2005.
That's
2005. So I'm
That's
WCW.
right.
Mansour's
I'm TNA.
TNA.
Who's your world champion in 2005?
So I'm looking at the landscape, because we've got we've got TNA, we've got WCW, we've got WWE, and we've got
ECW.
Big Damo runs ECW, right?
Yeah.
So I'm saying it's crowded here in America. So I took WCW and we went to Japan. My champion right now is Kurt Angle, but he's feuding with Misawa, and we're having big burnout banger matches in the Tokyo Dome every week.
nice.
So do people watch and comment and give ideas on these things, or they
Yeah.
just watch?
They do, and they vote on who had the best show, and that's how we get points, like your fantasy booking league.
Well, I had
every
no
week-
idea this existed.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
we finish the show, our fans get to vote on who had the best show, and that's our rating system. That's the key demo.
Oh, and
Here's the
mind you,
question.
it's just our fans that pay. It's our subscriber.
That's how we make the money.
Joe,
That's
Joe,
how we make money.
Joe, what was a fantasy booking game growing up that you said that people?
Yeah, I was
played?
gonna bring that up earlier, but we didn't get to it. So, have you guys ever heard of Total Extreme Wrestling? It's called
That's
That's
the
what we
game.
play. That's the
That's
game.
what you play. Oh, okay,
All right.
okay, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
so,
There you
so,
go.
so there's a theory that we had on the show that Joe came up with, that's how Tony Khan books, is that he puts the stuff into that program and comes out with his show.
I have
you
no
guys-
doubt that he played
And you
it.
guys have played that
You
too,
know,
so it's like,
yeah.
is that what it seems like?
I think he might have played it, because when you play TEW, the
He
best
did
thing you
play
can
it.
do
He did
is
play it.
put all the people you like that aren't over in a stable with an over guy, and you put them in segments together, and it makes the not
Wait a
over
minute.
guys raise
Yeah.
overness.
Yeah, but it doesn't happen on TV though.
Not in
That's
real
the
life.
problem.
Not in
Yeah,
real life.
yeah.
But in the game,
They seem to think that if you have one guy, he can give the rub to like 6 nobodies, and it doesn't work like that.
in the game it works. So that's
Okay.
That's the best way to do
Funny,
it.
man.
This is
So
terrible.
so Mansour, do you take advantage of the Arabian background, and is your show like seen in Arabia and the Middle East with people
Oh,
of
we
Arabic?
got TV deals all over the world. We got TV deals in the Middle East. We got TV deals in India. We're
In
gonna go.
India?
Hey, I just signed the great Khali in his prime in 2005 when he was working in New Japan wrestling Chris Candido. I'm having Khali. I'm gonna have him win my strap in India. We're gonna do big business.
That's
Holy
100,000
shit.
people at least.
We're gonna
Right.
fill a stadium full of people to watch Khali win. He's
Well-
gonna win it from
For
Ric
people
Flair,
that
man.
this sounds very interesting to, and before me and Disco rip off the idea, does this sound interesting to, go check them out.
Wait a minute.
One more time, where can they find it?
Konnan, we could have
Yeah.
you guys as a guest booker. You want to come be a
Yeah,
guest booker?
we would
would
love
love
to have
to.
you guys be guest bookers on the show. You
I
could
would
just
love
book our
that.
shows for us.
All right, I'll do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Let's
anytime.
set that up. That would be
Anytime.
Keep in
amazing.
touch. Yeah, for sure.
So one more time, where can they find this show that we're talking about?
That's at twitch.tv/greatblackotaku. That's GreatBlackOtaku.
Or any
right.
associated to wrestling otaku, that guy on the neckbeard guy.
Oh no. We disavow. We disavow.
Disavow. He's a suppressive person.
He is a suppressive person.
That is, yeah. I would
Now
say,
is Otaku Mase supposed to
We're
be?
disconnecting. We're disconnecting.
Is Otaku like a manga or anime
So
character?
otaku is somebody in Japan that likes anime, and it's the Japanese way of saying nerd.
Okay.
That's been my screen name on everything since I was a college football player, so I just never changed it.
I like that Mace
Sweet.
is that because he's a 6'8" NFL
Right.
player who
I can
loves all
back
this
it up
stuff.
by
Yeah,
being
he
a
can back
Chad.
it up.
But you know who is, bro? You know who is the first person that a lot of football players, bro, are gamers and nerds. You know,
Yeah.
it's like society in general. It isn't, but you got to remember, we grew up in the '90s where like nerds wasn't a real big thing. It is now.
Yeah,
You know,
and for better
the
or
nerd
worse, I
culture.
think it keeps people out of trouble. So I think at least like if you go into the locker room at WWE right now, it's not. It's
Oh,
not at all-
100%.
There's
Bro,
a lot of guys
listen.
playing video. We're playing Tekken.
Well,
We're hanging out.
Right. Let me
It's-
tell you. Let me
Back-
tell you.
back-
I
back
always
in
tell.
19
I tell Disco this all the time. In the '90s, even before the show started, you were trying to find out where was a party spot. Okay.
Well, I was-
Now everybody, because I work in Mexico and the whole dressing room is very young, much like the United States. Everybody's getting together so they can have a Mortal Kombat tournament. Okay.
That's what we do.
When I went to University of Georgia in 1989, okay, there's a wave for me and two of the football players from Georgia, the backup quarterback and one of the linemen, because one of the linemen went to my school and whose best friend's a basketball quarterback. We would literally sit in my apartment and play Atari baseball. It was like just like all day, skip class. It's like all day long. So it's like, so you know, so like this has been the gaming's been going on since games
Does
been
it-
invented. But like,
Does
but
it shock
yeah.
you when you see the graphics nowadays compared to back then? Like how lifelike it is?
I brought this up years ago.
100%.
I go, when are we? This was back maybe 10 years ago, and I don't know where we are now because I haven't seen a lot of video games. How close are we to playing the video games where the characters look like they're not? They don't look like graphics. They actual look like movie, like the actual characters in the
We're
movies.
close for sure.
We're getting really close.
It's gradually getting there, and I'm just wondering how bro, Elon Musk said in 10 years, maybe 5, they're going to have the chips in the brains.
Oh boy.
Okay, for the AI. So, yeah. Bro, 5 years is
That's
not
going to
that long
happen
away.
regardless.
That's one more presidential cycle. Okay, like the next, not this presidential cycle, but the next president that we elect is going to be facing. Okay, well, we might be having chips in our brains and stuff, and I'm just wondering, like, how close we are. like you know, I wasn't into like conspiracy theories and stuff. I always like 10%. I'd always keep my ear conspiracies, right? Because you want to know, in the case you don't want to be surprised.
You don't want to be surprised, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't hear this because a lot of the stuff has been correct. You know, some of them become they're theories, but sometimes the theory comes true. It's like you can't
Over
argue,
time,
right?
yeah,
Well, over
years,
time, right?
decades later, yeah.
Over time, I'm just wondering like how close we are to predictive programming, where like the Terminator 2 is like the view of the future.
yeah.
You know,
Well, because I think
Conan, I'm bringing that up because
Yeah.
one of the things in the movies, when in the Terminator, which came out in 1984, which is the most fascinating movie I've ever seen in my lifetime, because back then I literally just read a review of it in the newspaper. Like back then, you just had the newspaper. You open the newspaper. Hey, this movie looks good. I told all my friends, hey, I heard this movie sounds good. Let's go see it. And we're just blown away by the Terminator. One of the things they say in the movie in the year 1984 is say, like, when will the robots, like, they took over the world, go, that's 20 years from now. Okay? So it's like,
Yeah.
40 years from now, they said. It's
Yeah.
40 years from now in the movie. Here we are in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so I'm just wondering, like, how does that, like, all the predict?
Well, it's inevitable because I think
yeah.
I think what's going to happen, guys, is at first the chip is going to use to make you smarter and inform, and like I even was reading this thing where they're going to have like a retina that when you see a person, it'll tell you their name and their weight and all this other fucking information. So at first it's going to be used to make you smarter, more efficient. You don't get tired, because you have all this brain power. But I think somewhere in there we'll find a way to fuck it up and start controlling people.
We always do.
That's right.
Well,
That's my
Minority
fear.
Report, right?
The people using it are going to be so ahead of people on information that if you don't have the chip, you're going to be way behind. And it's like you're going to be like mentally retarded compared to
Yeah, it's almost going to be,
you're going to be right.
Because what's going to happen is going to be like, you guys were still around when we went from paper to credit card or no?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Okay,
wow,
so
yeah.
if you remember at the beginning, not every place took credit cards, not everybody had a credit card, and now nobody will take fucking cash.
Yeah, especially at sporting events and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before you guys split, this is just because Disco was asking about game graphics and stuff. I wanted to present this for you guys' amusement, and also Konnan, who probably has no idea that you can do shit like this, right? This is somebody's created wrestlers, and this is them booking their WCW, Konnan.
Okay.
So, yeah.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall, making his way to the ring from Mexico City, Mexico, weighing in at 200.
I mean, that's really. I got a Disco one too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just looked at what you guys.
Yeah.
That was
What is
super.
that,
It was the video game, the WWE.
It's the
one.
WWE game. Yeah. Here goes Di's entrance.
Oh yeah,
and whatever.
they can make me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that
This one even
crazy?
had-
I don't get
even
the
had
royalties
music.
because they have a thing where you can.
From Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, you're jacked.
It's not a bad representation to me, to be honest.
No, not at all.
It was really cool the first time they put us in the video game, just because at least me specifically.
You're video gamers. You're gamers.
Let me
And
tell
I
you
got
this.
into wrestling as I played before I watched any shows. I played the games and I said, "Oh, I like this. Where can I watch this?"
I don't know. I don't know what this type of money is like today, but back when the video game came out, okay, and like they didn't tell us anything. You went to your mailbox one day and you got a check from WCW. It was for like $55,000.
Oh,
And then
no,
everybody
we
was
did
like,
not get that.
holy shit! Like, it was like everybody was calling each other like, "Did you get this check?" Because
They changed the system up.
Oh,
they
you guys.
Yeah, they did because, bro, listen to this. I was talking.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember a guy that was in WCW? His name was Sonny Ono.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was
Couldn't
talking
get
to
him in
him
my
yesterday.
TEW game.
Mace tried to sign him in his game.
That's
I
crazy.
tried to sign him because I needed a manager that could speak Japanese when we moved to Japan. So
Spanish Muda, right?
he wasn't
You're
in the
Muda
game.
Mark, right?
Yeah, so
Right.
I couldn't get Muda, and I needed somebody to speak for Muda. And because I couldn't get him, I got Chono, and then I made him
Chono.
Sonny Chono. And then he's managing Kurt Angle right now because we need somebody to speak.
Well,
to.
yo,
But go ahead, Conan.
I want. Real quick. So Sonny Ono was talking to him yesterday because he wanted me to do this video game that I think he talked to you about too, Disco.
I know
And
this
he brought that up. He said that he got a $47,000 check, and he wasn't even like one of the main characters.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But So whenever you want me and Disco to come on your show,
Yes.
let us
Let's
know, and
do
we'll
it.
be
Hell
guest
yeah.
bookers, and we'll have a good time.
Oh, that
you
makes
guys
me
were
so
great.
excited.
Yeah, you guys were great. And please, if you have anything that you want, we have a really large audience. Anything that you guys are going to do in the future, send that information to Joe, and we'll
Yeah.
promote it on the show.
Absolutely.
That means the world to us. And Conan, Disco, Joe, we have heard, even when we were in WWE, that you guys were putting us over on your show, and
Yeah.
you guys were saying things about us when so many people were just burying us because of the gimmick. And the fact that you guys were able to see that we were putting everything we had into that gimmick and trying to make it work and trying to make it as entertaining as possible means the world to us. So thank you.
You know what pissed us off the most? That when you guys were doing those backstage vignettes, which was kind of like the last thing you did, bro, you guys were hilarious. You know?
you.
And we were like, what? Why would you take these motherfuckers off TV? But now we know.
Why is it on
regime.
YouTube? That's what I'm saying. It should be on
Well,
the show,
the
right? Not on YouTube. Like, yeah.
The YouTube thing, It was. It really was. We pitched that for TV, and I guess that was right after Vince retired the first time when Vince retired. So we weren't getting any play at that point. So at that point, we kind of got the writer's blessing to do it on our own because they weren't going to do it on TV.
And we were off TV, and like we said, we cannot just rest on our laurels. We got to be working. Even if it's not on TV, we're working on something all the time.
Yeah, so
Right.
we had a small team of us and Maxine, obviously, she was a big part of it, and our friend who still works there in the video department, Andrew Carr, who edited and produced those videos for us. But it was like really quick turnarounds. They cancel us every other week.
Yeah, they try to take us off the channel.
They'd say we don't want this on the channel anymore.
Great story.
Now, could you? Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. We were 4 weeks in with this thing, and the response was pretty great. It wasn't doing like 1 million views, but it was getting 6 figures or so. And then 4 weeks into the videos, one of the guys from the digital team tells us, "Hey, we don't want this on the channel anymore. Not enough people are watching it." So I say, "Oh, really?" I looked at every single WWE video they put up on the YouTube, and I put together a report, 7 pages. I sent them a document showing that our video was in the top 5 every single week of videos they put of original content, and usually top 3 and sometimes number 1. And I said, this is why we should still be on the channel. And I sent that
Because
to the
we're not on
entire
TV
team.
and we're still getting these numbers just because we're actually entertaining and we're actually putting out something
Now,
worthwhile.
couldn't you guys still do like the male maximum model gimmick with different names and monetize that?
Absolutely.
With the skits or
If that's what the joke that we have right now is, when somebody's booking us, we say we go both ways. If you if you want models, we'll do models. If you want us as
Right.
us, we'll do that. It's
That's
we'll
what's
do
great.
whatever you want.
I'm loving it so far because we get to do this thing where we can have badass work rate matches, or we could just entertain the crowd being the models, or both. And it's been a blast.
All right. Well, I want to thank you guys one more time, Mace and Mansour, for being on, keeping it 100. Boom.
Yo, thanks so much, guys. That was great.
All right,
man.
peace, guys.
That was
Appreciate
great.
it.
It was our pleasure. Thank you guys. Thanks so
Thank
much.
And
you.
plus,
Thanks
it's
for
going to
having
be
us.
great because a lot of people that don't know about you guys will now, have a lot more information on you, and hopefully they'll go follow your shows. If you ever need us for anything, we're here, and we'll invite you back in the future, see how you guys are doing.
Yeah,
That'd be
that's
awesome.
that's what that reminded me of, Konnan, is we had the guys from 2.0 on the show after they left WWE, and people didn't really know who they were, and then they came on with
Yeah.
their personalities and stuff, and
Those are Mansour's uncles.
Yeah, I love those guys. I rode with
Yeah.
them on the NXT house shows every single weekend. I'd ride with them. They tell
Great
me stories
guys.
about
super entertaining guys.
IWA and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Great
Thank you so
guys.
much.
All
Thanks
right.
for all your time as well. Yeah.
Nice meeting you guys.
Thanks, guys. Nice to meet
Nice
you.
meeting you. Thank
All right,
you.
peace, brother.
All right.
Take care, guys.
Be cool. Peace.